And action. Florentina had a question about osteoporosis, and the literature says that when you start to develop osteoporosis, or at least if you have a DEXA scan that becomes positive, then it is wise to halt osteoporosis. Now, that's just using a DEXA scan and numbers and statistics, but there is a way to plot those numbers on a FRAX calculator. However, it goes against the standard of care. Well, the standard of care is to individualize care, but what everybody else is doing is actually just putting people on medicines like Fosamax. And that's without even suggesting a change in diet, increasing vitamin D, or exercise. So, hang on a second. My suggestion is that you also change around first a diet. You can always get vitamin D and calcium in your milk. I don't drink cow milk anymore. It's either going to be this or almond milk or coconut milk. And then there's also fish. Yeah, everybody that watches my videos knows I do fish all the time. Nuts that are high in certain magnesium and selenium and other proteins that are helpful for changing around the way the body reacts to stress. I don't mean stress, emotional stress. I mean stress as far as walking. And that's why I have this backpack on. This backpack is a smaller backpack I can use for running. But I can weight this thing so it gives me a little bit of resistance. So the objective is when you do exercising, as you've probably seen in some of my videos, if you exercise, you want to be doing, walking is always good. Walking, running is important for cardiovascular. It's also important for legs. But you have to add some form of resistance. If you watch my other exercise video, DrRic tutorial exercise Jack LaLanne style, I use my weights this way. I actually go to the gym and work out, but sometimes it's easier to carry this stuff around. The only problem is if you carry this stuff around when you're walking, you're going to look like a weirdo. Or that you're drinking having to drink a lot of water. But there are smaller bottles that you can get, and over the course of, this is too heavy to continue weight training or carrying into the third or fourth mile, you'll probably have biceps tendonitis. So you want to ease up on some of the weight that you carry. Even a smaller bottle, a 12-ounce bottle, will give a little bit of resistance, and then it's a little bit of hydration after your walk or run. But the other objective is when you do the walking, that's fine. You do the resistance, you can actually put this in your backpack. So if you load up in your backpack, I have a 6-liter bottle that I use for when I take people on hikes. I can put that in my backpack, or even a bigger backpack that I'll weight down with sandbags, because it gives you evenly distributed weight. If you have evenly distributed weight and you get tired of the exercises you're doing, or the walking when you're walking with no resistance at all, if you put a little bit of weight back here, it gives you more of a challenge so that you can feel the impact to the hips and to the knees. If you get up and down with your hips and knees with extra weight over the course of a couple extra miles, couple extra weeks, couple extra years, it'll help give the body the signal to keep on adding more calcium to those spots that are going to be forced to do more of the load bearing. So the load is what causes the osteoblasts and osteoclasts to change where they're distributing the calcium and how vitamin D is utilized. Again, if you can get the vitamin D in with your food, that's awesome. But most of the folks, even the vegetarians that I see, vitamin D is still lacking. I like to have people hit the vitamin D mark at about 50 to 70. And I think most Americans fall short on that. You also have to have a ceiling because you can't go too high. There are some studies that show plaquing of the coronary arteries or the heart blood vessels can occur when you do too much calcium or too much vitamin D. But you need vitamin D to get the calcium to work and distribute properly. In my opinion, most average American diets are usually pretty decent on calcium, especially if you're a milk drinker or a meat eater. I think you'll get it in, but you can also get it in with green leafy vegetables too. I don't have my description of green leafy stuff here, because I ran out of it. It's not in my fridge in the office, but I have it at home. I'm what's called a semi-vegetarian, where I can go back and forth between the different proteins that are in the animal kingdom, like fish, chicken, but I also rely heavily on tofu, pea products, pea protein, hemp protein, brown rice, and other things, in addition to a well-balanced diet. I think the anti-inflammatory diet's what we all shoot for, and not everybody has one diet that they go for. It's usually variety, and it depends on what you were brought up with, depends on your taste, depends on how aggressive you're exercising, if you're competing, other medical conditions. If you have a diabetes issue, you have to be careful with calories per day, but all that on top of osteoporosis. Now, osteoarthritis is different. Osteoarthritis is usually the wear and tear you'll find in an average person, knees, fingers, ankles, hips. That comes with age. 50 years of age, I guarantee if I get an x-ray, it'll show a little bit of osteoarthritis. But osteoporosis is when the matrix or the superstructure of the bone becomes thinned out. It's usually inherited and or sped up, accelerated by inactivity or problems with vitamin D. That's why we push the activity, the vitamin D, and a well-balanced diet properly. So, Florentina, I wouldn't worry too much about where you're going. You're not on any water pills, and that's another thing. Water pills sometimes make you thinner than usual, but you're not on any water pills. Your diet is improving. Your exercise can be improved. We'll just add on and keep with the next year and see how things go. The other problem with osteoporosis is insurance only covers a DEXA scan every 2 years. It's kind of hard to figure out if you're doing the right thing in 2 years' time. And if you think about it, if you're in your 60s and you have osteoporosis, you can't get that thing too often. It's better to just do the diet, do the impact exercises, resistance exercises. You know, there's even studies that show Qigong and Tai Chi or yoga, which are non-impacting, can actually improve a DEXA scan score. Now, you have to think about that. If the studies have always said use impact exercises, and then newer studies are showing relaxation, breath exercise, mindful practice, Tai Chi and yoga can actually also help with thin bones, then there has to be another component, which is usually the concept of stress relief, stress reduction. I think that people who have stress usually have magnesium that's deficient. And where does magnesium come from? Bone. So I think stress whittles away and thins the bone as well. So the old school thinking is impact exercises. The new school thinking is well-balanced lifestyle, well-balanced nutrition, well-balanced activity. So either way, we're on our way to start, and we just have to kind of modify it a little bit and then check again. But you can't go wrong. Worst case scenario, we put you on medicines, but I'd rather go the old-fashioned way. Fosamax is the pill that you take that causes severe reflux, but it forces calcium to be deposited in the bone. It'll make your bones thick, but at the sacrifice of having reflux. It's weird the way you have to take it. Sometimes you can even have alveolar necrosis or problems with your jawbone. But there's this old stuff called myocalcin nasal spray. It's salmon calcitonin. So it's the hormone from a fish that helps to deposit and stimulate the bone osteoblasts to lay down matrix, makes your bone thick. Again, the studies have shown Fosamax works better, but I don't have any problems with using nasal sprays, especially from the fish, if it's covered by insurance. I'd try that first if I were you. So we're not to that point yet, but the other folks that are watching it, you might want to, if you're having problems or hesitation with getting on Fosamax, maybe ask your doc if you can try myocalcin nasal spray first. Do it for about 2 years, as long as you're not too severe, and see how the DEXA scan turns out. But don't forget, add the other parts of the balanced lifestyle.